Hi, I'm Em, an avid wargamer who runs social media accounts focused on promoting women in wargaming and creating inclusion-positive community. As well as running women in wargaming events, I wanted to create a series focusing on the variety, creativity and skill of women in our hobby. So join me across this series as we explore the passion and joy women have for our hobby. Annie is a UK-based creative who has played wargames for many years. She's the brilliant mind behind Bad Squiddo Games, a one-woman powerhouse producing women-centric models for the wargaming market. She produces both fictional models for the fantasy and sci-fi sector and non-fictional models based on real women in history who Annie extensively researches.
Hi Annie, and welcome to your episode of the Women in Wargaming series. How are you today?
Woohoo! Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I'm very, very well. Thank you.
Good.
How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. I'm not too bad. It has thankfully stopped raining where I am, which is not a surprise to anyone native to the UK. But yes, it's looking slightly less grey out there, which is always good. So let's get started. So how did you get into wargaming in the first place?
So I think I was about 10 and my mum turned up. I lived with her. She turned up back from the shops. She'd been to the flea market. They don't really have them anymore. I don't really see them. But it'd be like just stalls where they're just secondhand stuff. And there was a stall that sold loads of like kids' toys and things. So she'd always pick up treasures from there. And yeah, she just turned up with a stack of white dwarves, and they were quite old ones as well. And was just like, oh, I think you and your brother might be, into this sort of thing. And that was it. So I kind of got into it through an earlier time period because I was reading these older magazines. And it wasn't till I first went to Games Workshop and I was kind of like, I want this one. And they're like, that has not been made for 20 years. I'm like, oh, oops. So that kind of, it was the Undead back when they were just one. So Warhammer Fantasy was the one that really sort of caught my eye. And went back when they were just full undead. So by the time I made it, because we didn't have a Games Workshop near me or anything, by the time I got there, like, oh, there's vampires and Tomb Kings now. So I've got a weird, like, retro memory of stuff that was not the time where I was. If that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yes, it does.
So I've kind of got that love for old Hammer, and then people are like, but you're not old enough for some of the old Hammer. Like, but I kind of was through the magazines. So yeah, from then it just kind of we'd get the occasional, so that same secondhand stall would just kind of do random little like sandwich bags of old minis. So we kind of started painting up from there. And yeah, then one day I got to go in a Games Workshop, and I remember thinking, wow, working in Games Workshop would be the dream. That would be so cool, but that'll never be a thing. And that was kind of as far as it went at that point. I just really liked it, got really into it, had a bit of a break, came back. I came back because I was at university and we were doing a small scale project. And so I was studying art, and somebody said, oh, that's like this really weird thing my brother does called Warhammer. And I was like, she was like, oh, proper like, loser thing. And I went, oh, I wonder if that's still a thing. So kind of, that was then what prompted me to go and like look it up again and went, oh my God, it is still a thing. So got back into it and then found, because I was older, found that social side, and there was internet. There wasn't really internet. Well, there was, but not very used. I remember there was like a message board on Games Workshop website, but it was really basic. And then I think they just gave up because they were like, we cannot moderate this. However you can imagine it now. So yeah, then I started discovering that social side of it and forums and tournaments, and I got really into tournaments. And then it continues from there. But yeah, the main game that I was always super into was Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, I resonate so much with like a lot of what you're saying. Like, I have elder models from 1994, like original Fire Dragons, and I was born in 1994.
Yeah.
So I definitely wasn't playing Warhammer in 1994. So like that old hammer is very nostalgic to me, and like I've got a picture just behind the screen of the second edition codex, and I definitely didn't play second edition, but Warhammer is so like gothic and nostalgic, isn't it? And fantasy as well. Like so I, as I said, played high elves, and the elves in like old world, like old Hammer fantasy are incredible, like the sculpts that they got on them. So yeah, completely resonates with me as well. And it's nice that your mum unintentionally got you in
Yeah.
it as well. So that's really cool. So obviously you mentioned like Warhammer is like a principal game system that attracted you as you got older and got into wargaming a bit more. Were there any other game systems that you were attracted to?
Yeah. So I was all I was aware of was the Warhammer and the other games from Games Workshop. And again, because of the magazine stuff that wasn't around anymore. So it was the only like, main ones that I think were on at the time was Fantasy and 40k. And I've never really got into 40k. I tried a little bit with the Dark Eldar because I thought some of them were cool, but
Yeah.
I just never really got into it the same. And then once I was in Cardiff and I started going to Firestorm Games where they stocked obviously like loads of game shops now, but
Yeah.
at the time I'd never even been to an independent shop. So I didn't know what was out there or any of that stuff. So you're kind of like looking along all the racks, and then they have a gaming centre as well. And this was when they were really new as well, so it was quite small. And yeah, just like seeing people playing all of these different games with all of these different figures. And even though for still quite a while I was just playing Warhammer, I then kind of made it my mission that I was going to have different models. And so I got really into proxying and conversions and trying to use things. I always wanted to have something a bit different. So people would go, "Ooh, what's that?" And I think that then introduced me to a few other companies. And eventually I got lured into the historical ways because I kind of kept looking at it and going, oh, I don't know, because, there's no dragons and stuff like that. And then Studio Tomahawk and Griffin Beast brought out Saga, the Viking game.
Yeah.
And it was small enough. So being used to, having these massive armies, it was a lot smaller as a skirmish game. And it was all just really well packaged. And
Yeah.
I saw a game of it, and someone had, I think it was Leicester Gaming Group. They had a massive long ship and great hall and all this. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. So I got into that. I really enjoyed playing that. And then from then on, it was kind of like people going, well, if you like Saga, you might like this. So I kind of dabbled in lots of different games, which was always good being, going into a gaming centre where there's just always somebody there. And one of my friends who's sadly no longer with us, Mike Hobbs, he used to have like at least two armies for everything. So I just played so much because I wouldn't have to do all of the building the army bit. He'd go, oh, do you want to play this? I go, I will give that a go. He's like, here is the army you'll be using. So yeah, it kind of spiraled into that, like, oh, there are so much more out there.
Yeah.
But for quite a while, I was still playing Warhammer as the main game. I think I had a big social group built around it as well. So it was, I kind of, because I used to play a lot of tournaments, I worked out I did over 50 in like 3 years.
Incredible. That's really
So I did
incredible.
a lot. But then near the end, I kind of wasn't as fussed about playing. I kind of, if it was vaguely local, I'd mostly just go along and have some beers, like turn up at the end, like the last game or something. And I just kept thinking, I don't really want to play. And it was partly I think it was just what are like 3 hours and 3 games a day.
The 9 hours worth of games plus everything in between is really like mentally draining.
Back then was when I'd then go out into the early hours, and I have no idea how I did it then, because played 2 games in a day. I'm like, whew, time to go home now. That's quite a bit. So yeah, it was having a gaming centre did turn out to be the thing that got me into other games, but up till that point I just wasn't aware that they even existed.
Yeah.
That's why I'm partly, say this to people a lot, and not in the way of like, ew, Warhammer, that's mainstream, but also just like, if you like this, you will also, you know, there's a good chance you
Yeah.
will like all of this. So instead of that, like, you know, ditch this for that, it's like, but also this,
Yes.
and also this, or just to have a look, and then if you don't like it, that's fine, you know.
Yeah. And I think, like, for me, I completely resonate with what you're saying, because I've got into Moonstone in quite a heavy way, and that's through hobby stores and things like that, and them going, have you thought about maybe doing this as well, and seeing them at UK Games Expo, and we'll get on to Bad Squiddo in a moment. I'm very excited to talk about that. But what sort of elements of your hobby are you mostly drawn to? Is it the playing side? Is it the law side? Is it the painting side? Is it the sculpting side? Or is it everything sort of in between?
I think it's definitely started off as the painting side.
Yeah.
Then I got more into the gaming, and painting for a bit became a chore, but that was because I was getting into the competitive side of everything. So it's always, well, from then, that sort of point became a bit of half and half. At the
Mm,
moment, I'd say more painting, because I don't get as much time to do either as much as I'd like. And a lot of the time I have ran out of brain. So painting doesn't require thinking so
yeah.
much. Whereas playing a game, it's people play games in the evening, and I want to play a game like on a Saturday at 9 in the morning,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
nobody else does. So
I will
by the
play a game
time,
with you at
yeah.
9 a.m. on a Saturday. That's fine by me. I've got no problem with that.
So yeah, by the time it's game time, you know, it's like after a whole day of something, whether it's
Mm,
work or weekend or whatever, I've just got nothing left.
yeah.
So I'm there going, oh, I've got to think now. So that's the main issue. But then the games I've been playing have been a lot. The model count's just going like that of games
Yeah.
that I play. So the last one I got really into was Gaslands, which was just 2 cars
Yeah.
basically. That's how I filled them up, 2 cars. Yeah, and a thing that you can kind of go through quite quickly, or if I'm playing with someone that knows it really well, that we can just, you know,
Rattle
go
it
through
out
it, and
quickly.
yeah.
Yeah. And then go and get a beer afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's my favourite
without me
type of
going,
hobby.
hang on a minute, no. So yeah, so I'd say painting, painting at the moment, um, and converting bits again as well. I've got a bit back into it, but I go in little phases. So
But I think that's the beauty of hobbying, is that there's no like be all and end all that you should do, and it's nice to dip in and out for sure. And that's kind of why I like some of these like online Instagram competitions, where it's like you have one model and you've just got to paint it or convert
yeah,
it to look a certain way, you know.
because I realised most of the painting that I used to be a painting beast was because I had the tournament deadline.
Yeah.
So that was the motivation, and now it's like, yeah, I need some sort of deadline. So I did participate in one online challenge at Christmas last year, so I did start, and that was for the same reason. The let's just do that because there's a deadline and it's a thing, and that was it was from Teen Fielding.
Yeah.
To do a house on legs. So I did make my bleeding horse. I missed the deadline, but I made sure I finished it. So that was the important one. So I now have this bleeding horse house, which I quite like.
That's really cool. That is
A
really
bleeding
cool.
horse house. So I
Yeah.
have tried to reclaim a bit of my hobby this year, which it's been working. It's just piece by piece.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of really cool things, that leads me very nicely into Bad Squiddo.
Yay.
So yes, you run Bad Squiddo, and it's amazing. And I'm not going to steal your glory because I'm a huge fangirl, but tell everyone a little bit about Bad Squiddo.
So I set up Bad Squiddo 10 years ago, over like 10 and a half years now, which is quite terrifying. And before that, I'd run a company called the Dice Bag Lady for I think about 5 years. So I've been self-employed most of my adult life. So this has to work because I can't go back into society. I don't know how to do it. But I do know how to run games companies, so that's good. So what we do is we specialise in female minis, femme presenting minis, as well as, you know, some other bits and bobs. which has got out of hand as well. In case I've got the mission, and then it occasionally just kind of goes. But I set that up, so it was when I started getting into historical gaming, and before that time, when I was making the bags was a full-time business. I was to kind of downplay it, but it went really well. So they were handmade bags for dice, and I still see if I go through Warhammer World, I'll usually see like one or two of them still of people playing. I'm like, yes, they're still there. I've freaked people out as well because I made the bag. What? Got this ages ago. Like, yeah, that was me. Never forget a dice bag. So when I started playing historical games, because I'd mostly played undead before, so it's it's your vampire queen, and then your ghouls. I love ghouls. Ghouls, skeletons. That's you don't really think about it. And so, because I was playing Vikings, I was like, I'd been watching the TV show Vikings as well, and I was like, I just want some women in there, so it's just not all blokes, just someone else to paint. And I just couldn't find it. I found like a few, but there wasn't anywhere that I was like, I just thought this would be really simple. It's a unit like that, but they're girls. And so at the time, that was something that frustrated me. And then the more I looked into it, I went, there really isn't much. And in fantasy, it didn't feel like so much of an issue, but it was the main sort of phrase I went with at the start was that it was just offering more choice, because I immediately had people going like, you're trying to take these sexy women away from them. Like, no, it's just that if you want to choose a character, it's nice to, in your character design phase, to not have to just choose the different pants. Like to go, I want to play with a woman that's in a full armor. That shouldn't be a difficult thing to find. That was the sort of goal.
A bra and a loincloth. Yeah,
it's like choose your loincloth. And like, but what about not loincloth? And they're like, what now? So that was something that would kind of, it had been bothering me, but it was just kind of there. So from the dice bag company, I'd started to get quite well known. Was well known through when I used to play at tournaments. I used to always end up on tournament podcasts and stuff, giving my battle techniques of. They're like, Annie, how did you choose this list? I don't know. It's just
it looked nice and it was painted.
I had those things. That guy had it, and I thought that was cool, so I just copied that one. I didn't really think about it. But so I'd already got that sort of following from there, and I was used to. I'm really sad that Twitter is now dead to me, because that was my main platform, and it was until like last year or wherever. So there was a really good wargaming community on there, and that was how I kind of built up quite a lot in terms of company and friends. So from making the bags, I ended up damaging my wrists, and then I just couldn't do it anymore. I was in a really grim state. Like I wasn't able to get any income because it was tied to, you have to do the thing to get the money, but I couldn't do the thing. I was really stubborn and was refusing to sign up for benefits, because the only way I could do that, because I'd spoke to them, was by basically getting rid of everything. So it was like, can I not just do a bit? They're like, no, you have to
completely fold everything.
This seems really that helps people. Yes,
with their mental health and everything
else.
And
just like getting back into work. It was like, you've got to kill it all, or that's it. So I kind of and was being more stubborn, going, it's fine. They'll like, what if I do that and then they're better next week? So I'd got to a point where I had Salute booked. I'd still had some stock of bags because they were pretty much all made to order. But in between, I was making stock because I'd started to do shows like Salute, mostly to sort of get out and about and promote it, rather than the money that I'd make from it. So I thought, okay, there's now's my time. I can I can give it a go, see if anyone likes it. And if it doesn't go well at Salute, then there's no point anyway. So I had like a couple of months to really frantically, right, I'm going to specialise, in women in clothes. I'm gonna find. So at the time, where okay, I hadn't even thought about making miniatures yet. That was still not something that was on my radar.
Yeah.
So I decided to be a stockist. I'd already started stocking a few things when I was bag lady as well. So I contacted as many companies as I could and said, all right, I want to stock, but not your entire range. I just want those 2 women. And then someone else would be like, oh, they've got a bit more. But I'll have those 10 women, please.
Yeah.
And it was I have no idea how I did this for so many years. But it became the place to go to get female minis that are wearing clothes, basically, across anything. And I did get a bit of gotta collect them all. So I stocked from so many different places, and the idea was, if say it was kind of Frostgrave was getting pretty big and I was playing that, and it was that thing where you want to build a warband, but you don't want to buy a figure from here that's like £5 with £5 shipping, a figure from here, and there was just nowhere that you could, apart from maybe Reaper, because Reaper have so much, where you could just get them all. So the idea was that I get them all into here, and then you can choose all of these different figures and just get it from one place. And it lasted like that for quite a few years. But in between that, I would then started getting some models made, and it felt like the stocking element was the day job. And then any little bits of profit from that were getting into, after living, then funding sculpts. So the first sculpts, I was still like, I don't know, like, well, if no one wants them, I've got some shield maidens I can use in my game. And Bad Squiddo's not an easy name to spell over the phone or anything, and I really didn't think it was going to last like the year, so we'll give it a go. I had loads of discouragement, obviously. Mix of people online, other companies going, no, we don't do this because nobody wants it. And I remember one guy saying, who are you making this for? All 4 female gamers? I'm like, a little bit more than that. And it doesn't matter what gender you are to want a
female character or a female
mini.
model.
So it did feel like different times then. It feels a lot like things have changed a lot in that decade.
Yeah.
And then at one point, oh god, ever since pre and post pandemic, just before maybe 2019, I decided to get rid of everything I was stocking, because a lot of people hadn't noticed that I'd been building this range.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to make it as a manufacturer, but then I was being seen as a retailer, so the two were then sort of clashing a bit. So I thought, right, I've done really well with that. I'm going to focus on my stuff now. And it worked. So since then, the entire part, well, then it didn't last very long. Went, I'll stock some more stuff, but not in the one-stop shop women stuff. So we still sell third party complementary things. So I will go into the backdrop books, the scatters, but nothing that kind of gets confused in with my stuff, I think. And that was when the brand really started to get strong, because people could see them. Because, people were saying, oh, I got this really cool woman fighter from Bad Squiddo, but it wouldn't be a Bad Squiddo mini. It'd be, and then I was like, well, no one's getting the credit. So I was really chuffed that had allowed, I managed to get a lot of models and companies sort of out there to people, and to find that there was stuff. And it was really encouraging where there were companies that had been doing it right, but they were just small. So just giving another platform, another load of eyes, would be like, wow, these models are great. But then it just got to that point where it was like, it's big enough that it can be me now. I can put a little spotlight on me and start making more and more different minis. And I have.
Yes, you have. You definitely have. And so the first time I came across you, which you'll know, is you came to my Women in Warhammer thing that I did, and then I did loads of research as soon as you messaged me, and I was like, oh my god, this is literally like my wet dream, just all these female figures everywhere, and oh my god. And I remember going to UK Games Expo a couple of weeks later and just seeing your whole range in front of me, and my little peanut brain just blew. It just absolutely blew, because you do the fantasy and the sci-fi and the historic and the scenery and everything, and beautiful display cabinet with all these female models painted and everything, and they're so creative and they're so gorgeous, and I just adore your entire range.
Thank you.
So tell me, like, which range did you start with? How's it evolved? Give us a bit more of sort of like the side of Bad Squiddo that's sort of occurred post pandemic with its building as its own brand.
So the first lot was Shield Maidens. They took off really well. So then we had a lot more of it. And then I was kind of doing a bit here and a bit there. Quite early on, I made guinea pig models. I was trying to be sensible, and I was like, I'll do some standard. And then I like looking at the code numbers because the sub ranges have all got codes and they're just in order of coming out. And guinea pigs, I think, are pack 3. And I was like, I got that far in making animals. So I started off with a wolf, wolf standard thing. And yeah, number 2 is giant capybara, and then 3 is guinea pigs, and it just kind of goes from there. So I did there was bits and bobs. And then I started, I was really resistant to Kickstarter, and I just didn't vibe with it, and I kept looking at them, and then I was getting jealous that people were doing really well on Kickstarter. But I was going, but I've just really struggled to make this model and get it out, and you don't want it. But in that sounds like nobody wanted them ever. But they're like comparing it because Kickstarters always we sell far more than releases, and it took me quite a while to get my head around it, because I was like, no, I'm going to make it so you can just buy it and you can get it now. And it was when a lot of Kickstarters, probably still some are, but they were taking years to fulfill. I was going, but
yeah,
I've made it. And then I go,
here and ready, please take it.
And I'd be like, look, they've done a few figures, and now they're making all the money on Kickstarter. And yeah, it kind of went, Annie, just do a just try it out. Just try it out. So I did one. It went way better than I could have imagined. And from then just went, okay, let's do that. But I never wanted to just be Kickstarter. So that really helped propel everything. And it helped me focus. So it was then, this is a lump of models going into a Kickstarter. So I'd do that, and then I'd have releases in between. So the first big historical release, other than the Shield Maidens, because they were kind of in bits and bobs, but then I, again, on hindsight, probably should have made the initial Soviet release a Kickstarter. But I'm really pleased with how it went as a release. It's just, it's been over a decade and I'm still like, but it's not me. Like, how is the psychology? But it is that, like, joining in on a party sort of, like, yeah, but they're not made yet. Like, but if they were made, you could have them. No, we don't want them made.
We like the concept of it. We like the weight. We like the build.
Yeah.
Like, nerds like to talk about things before they've got their hands on them. So,
so it still baffles me. Like, I do get it, but it's also that's, I don't know. So yeah, the Soviet World War II figures were the first sort of hardcore history, and it was just pre-order. Released them at Salute, and it went down really well. I was absolutely terrified because I was going into, like, Vikings. You can get away with a lot, if anything of that sort of era, and there's pretty almost like a standardized expectation, and that was still a bit scary, and there were still people picking them all apart. But World War II, in a land of, absolute World War II enthusiasts, I cried a lot because I couldn't decide. I remember 2 a.m. one morning because I couldn't decide whether to give them bayonets or not. And I was just going, I don't know. I don't know. And I'd think I got it, and then I'd see something else and go, or maybe not. And yeah, so that was the first time I kind of done that, and I was so nervous that everyone would go, "What are you doing? You're clearly not a World War II enthusiast." But people loved it, and that started my World War II interest, because it had kind of developed from making one sniper to then going, oh, hang on a moment, this is really interesting. And it became a lot more historical sort of after that. As I just found more and more things that are just like, oh, let me have a little read of that. And then, yeah, as I'm reading, I can start seeing the figures sort of
Yeah.
like forming, going, hello. Almost like in Toy Story when the little green army men are marching on their like puddle bases.
Yeah.
They're all sort of like marching out, like, hello, Annie. You can see me sculpting. Like, oh, you do look good as a model.
And it's like your most recent Kickstarter is a World War II one as well. I think that's just closed by the time
Yeah.
we put this out. But I was looking through it because it was fascinating to me. I'm a history nerd. I must confess, World War II is not my jam. I'm more of like a medieval Viking, 8th to 11th century
Yeah.
kind of girl. But I was reading it through and I was like, wow, the female characters, the
Yeah.
actual
Yeah.
genuine female people that Annie has been able to find and convert into these really dynamic, really gorgeous sculpts. It was just insane to me. And I learned so much about women that I would never normally come across, and you had spies and you had all sorts of people in there and it's just great. And it's fun, but it's serious at the same time. Like it's a nice way to have that physicality of history in front of you as well. So, what's your process for like trying to decide which genuine women from history you're going to turn into a model and immortalize in this way?
So there's a million that I want to make, but obviously it costs a lot to make them. So it's, yeah, I do have to be quite brutal with it. And whenever I do something like the last project, Women of the Resistance, was my favourite, and that's given me so much like hype. That that this has been the favourite project to work on in every respect, like the research, the people, so like the people I've chatted to, the things that are coming after this, like the stories, say people going, oh, I saw a statue of such and such, and I was able to tell my family who they were because I'd seen you, talking about it. Yes. So it's become so much more than the original, just having some cool, bit different minis on the table, to being able to tell the story of what these women have done and who they were, and then have that sort of output through the model. So the process. So I've got, see, variety.
Oh wow!
This is a couple of them. I'm not going to get the rest of my living room's really messy, so. But the entire living room walls, basically, apart from the wall which is guinea pigs, is books. And since I started, I've been collecting books, and I'm really glad that I did, because now the internet's ruined with AI, so it's really hard researching online now. And filtering, because it was bad enough filtering through just reposted inaccuracies.
Yeah.
So the wrong photos of women had been used, and then someone else had copied that, and so that was hard to sort of weave through. But now there's just stuff being made up, and then the AI is being copied by people. So then that's published on somewhere fairly reputable, but the original source of it is lost, which was AI, and it's just it's a bit of a nightmare. Though also still the internet's still really, really useful. But I've just amassed this book collection, and I'm an absolute sucker for secondhand bookshops. So whenever, basically any book in a secondhand bookshop that's to do with women in history, especially if it's military history, it just gets purchased and on the shelf. So it's a really good library that I've built up. And I do sometimes just kind of flick through them. So even if it's something I have no plans on working on, I bought one recently that was women of the canals in the 1920s. Like,
I'm not
it's gonna
kidding. I
come
would
in
love
useful.
to borrow that book.
Yeah.
That just scratched something in the back of my head. So yeah.
So yeah, just stuff where I'm like, at some point that is going to come in handy, probably.
Yeah.
Definitely. So they're there like a bit of a wine cellar, which does mean when I do get to, start on a new project, I've already got a whole bunch of stuff here, which means I don't have to go hunting for them. And obviously brand new books cost a lot more. So I've got quite a lot then, and all different, voices and views, on the same subject from different people. So yeah, going through those, just looking at them, God, I love my books. Look at them all there. Yeah, they're all there. But yeah, so trying to find so someone who's very basically interesting. If I can find a bit of their story that just translates into a miniature. So
Yeah.
someone recommended someone recently and said, "Oh, there's no photos of them." It doesn't matter if I can get that sort of period correctly.
Yeah.
And there's something they were doing. That's when I'm like, oh yes, that's happening right now. Something that they're doing that can then translate into it, because it's trying to make a 3 centimeter tall symbol, basically.
Yeah.
So it's
Like,
I
capture that
really
moment
love
in time, yeah. And
yeah
that's really hard to do.
I really love that challenge of feeding everything this person's done
Yeah, into this teeny tiny
into
little
this.
personification. Like, I'm thinking like you've got 2 models that are almost like dancing at the moment, and there's like a suitcase in between almost, and
Oh, so
that's just
that's
like
Hans and Sophie Scholl.
that's it,
So that was one
yes.
that I really was desperate to make miniatures of them, but I didn't know how to do it. Because they're German resistance in World War II,
Yes.
which is largely spreading information.
Yes.
So, people with guns are really easy because it's the standard. I joke with other companies that there's like the standard poses, and someone should just release a book, code all of the standard one-piece casting poses, and go, "I'll have C4, please." And so we're talking about doing like mortars and things, and I was talking to someone recently, and he went, "Oh, because we're talking about doing that sort of bomb detonation thing," and I went, "Oh, have you got the guy going?" Oh no, we haven't actually. So mortars and things, there's always guy going like that, guy pointing over there, guy going ah. Sometimes I go, let's just do that. It works for a reason, but I do kind of like finding poses that people haven't done as well.
Yeah.
But
and you have a
I'm
lot
like,
of that in your range as well, like a lot of poses that other people won't necessarily have done because you're immortalizing that moment of history.
yeah. So with
it.
these, so it's like I can't sum up what they've done by someone handing out a leaflet. Like it's and if they were, because I've got a few minis that are writing, and they're the naval World War II women, the Wrens, and they're kind of like writing down notes. I'm like, I can't have them all just writing. And I just got stuck for ages. I'm really happy with how it's turned out. So I did get into a rabbit hole, because again, everything I've got is on women. I didn't want to just do Sophie because she does get more attention, but Sophie and Hans, Hans did so much, and there are other members of the White Rose I'd quite like to make later on as well. It's like, no, he's coming in. I don't have a strong rule. It's just that I like to focus on women. So Hans was allowed into the gang. But reading their story was so inspirational, but it ends so sad. So a lot of them, and it's like trying, like you said, like trying to keep things light when they're not is a bit of a hurdle as well. And I did have a bit of a doubt with this mini, but I've decided that if people don't like it, it's okay, because it's okay. People can have different views on things, but I went with something a bit different, because someone did say quite early on, I went, oh no, I want to be edgy and out there, but I also want everyone to like it. So what I've done with them is I kind of gave them a bit of a childhood that they didn't have. So they're kind of dicking about is the term. So they're just messing about with the leaflets. And I see how some people go, you're taking away the seriousness of it, but everything was so serious. And there's some photos of them where they are just, kind of like at the camera, and they were young. They weren't, as young as some of the others by the end of it, but they're still, like, for a lot of it, Sophie's a teenager. And they wouldn't have just been these robotic, we are out to distribute leaflets and, spread the word. They're going to be having fun as well. So I just wanted to make us a nicer sort of figure. And then I was amazed that it cast in one piece as well. That's that was a whole. But I get really passionate about getting all of that and then figuring out what they're thinking and the little people. So I'm researching Claude Cahun and Marcel Moore at the moment, and I've been quite smug whilst I've been reading it, because I've found so many bits of information that are like, yes, that's going into a mini. And I could have quite easily just Googled some pictures of them and made the models. But and then I kind of go, I spend a lot of time on this, but it pays off because there's so many, and there's a reason for basically everything that's going on in the models, and I love telling people about that. It's kind of like, so what they've got here is, even the two. So these two, I love them. They're two artists that kind of, they're non-binary before it was a term that was used, so they do refer to themselves as women, but they also do a lot of gender non-conforming stuff and phrases, and they have new names basically.
Yeah.
And it's partly an art thing, but it's one of those, when you look back, you're like, I think if there was the terminology sort of around then. And yeah, they're living on Jersey Island in disguise, in the sense that they don't really want to be on Jersey Island as a lesbian couple, so
Yeah.
they're sisters, quirky sisters that live here.
As every historian would say, they were good, close friends.
Yeah.
that spent their entire lives living together, but in separate bedrooms, of course. Yeah.
And what they got up to is fascinating, and I won't go into it for ages because I'm looking at it going. So I'm aware of Claude from when I was studying art, and I was like, yes, it's all coming back, and learning about how they're using art to disenchant the German occupation on Jersey is just really like getting a lot of ideas. Then at one point I'm like, hang on, wait, she's walking her cat on her leads, and I'm like, cat on her leads, cat on her leads, cat on her leads. And yeah, just getting to know them, and then I get even more attached to them because they are like my little mates. So they're going, it was you. So yeah, I don't know where I was going. I went off on a tangent somewhere.
I love tangents. Like, all this series has been is just one tangent after another, but that's the beauty in what you craft, and I do love that personification of that single moment in time. But obviously you do a lot of ranges of a lot of different things, and I'm going to ask you the question that everyone hates me asking. So if you had to like pick one of your models that is your favorite, which would it be?
Oh, so I normally, this again feels like I'm betraying them. Normally the answer's Fulan Devi, but in the latest Kickstarter, it might be Hannah. What's my brain just absolutely? Hannah? What's my brain? Wow, I've entirely forgot the name of one of my one of my favourite minis. So she'll lose, and we'll go back to Fulan Devi, because I was so passionate about her that I made her in 3 different forms.
Oh wow!
And she was one of those people that's because there's so many in this latest project, but it's what's got me really passionate now is teaching people who all these different people were.
Yeah.
She's known as, kind of nicknamed as the Indian Robin Hood,
Yeah.
and it wasn't that long ago. I can't off the top of my head, but it wasn't long ago. She had a really, really horrible upbringing in India. She gets involved in gang activity. She has some really horrible things happen to her. She then forms her own gang.
Yeah.
Goes and has all of those people killed. Then hands herself in. She's like, done now. And somehow, because she's won the nation's heart, gets released, and becomes a politician and campaigns for rights of like poorer people around India. And just her story, the more you get into it, it's absolutely loaded with, triggers and awfulness. It's a really grim story, but what she made out of it was really inspiring.
Yeah.
And that nobody knows who she is. Like, I remember going, what's a Fulan Devi? Like, it's a troop type or something. Like, no, that's her name. So I've done her in 3 stages of her life, because I'm like, I can't decide on it. I'm going, what,
because there's
every figure, it's like, how, what era am I making you in? So I've went, you know what, I'm going for all 3. I was that inspired. So she's got sort of militia, bandit. She was called the Bandit Queen as well. So Bandit Queen, and then later on in kind of sari and nice peaceful. But there's some wonderful photos of her older, like dressed all lovely in her sari, and then she's got some of her old gang mates all hanging around her with all of their machine guns and stuff. Like, this is not just some gentle older lady, So she is a badass.
Exactly. Was it
So yeah,
Honey you were thinking of?
Honey Shaft, yeah, how did I? I was looking at a sculpt of her just before because we unlocked her and Truce Oversea and
Yes.
in Disguise, and those minis are made now. I'm like, yes. Yeah, Honey Shaft is a really interesting, but yeah, there's so many of them, and I feel like each time it's like the latest one I've made is my favorite because I get so into it. Like Claude and Marcel doing pretty well at the moment. I'm like, oh my god.
Particularly if one of them is going to be walking around with a cat on a lead. I can
Yeah.
imagine with your key demographic, that's going to be a very popular model when that comes out.
Cat on the lead. At that point where I kind of find the bit that's going to make the model, I'm like, yes, yeah. So all my notes where, it'll be like, so one that Alan's sculpting at the moment is Hedda Lund, and she's got a handbag, kind of like, you're kind of pulling the other handle out, and she's just checking the dynamite in her bag. And she took me so long to design and figure out how do I do a railway saboteur explosives expert. That's why I was looking at the
Yeah.
But I've decided
subtle though. Like that sounds like my kind of gal just wandering around with dynamite in her handbag.
Yeah.
That definitely sounds right up my street.
Her and her friend, and also in miniature, Elsa Marie, I think it's Parday, I need to double check. They were both used to just dress up, be in normal civilian clothes and pretend to be drunk, and it's just that like drunk silly girls whilst they went and planted explosives and pick locks and espionaged and all that. So they're both there. One of them, Elsa's, one of her tricks was like, well, I'm just pulling my socks up, so she's doing that and then but also scoping about. And I was like, yeah, she's just going, yes, dynamite's still in there. Just checking in my nice little bag. But the little rabbit holes that go down, like I was going, all right, a hat bag. Hat bags are really cool because they're like,
really ornate, aren't they? And you can
so it's
kind of form on them.
So I was doing a whole like, shall it be a hat bag? And I'm like, no, because then that would stand out. And all that sort of overthinking into it. But I like to think that's what makes them so lovely in the end.
Definitely.
That I've not just gone pose C4 and put these clothes on and that'll be done.
Yeah,
there's choice behind everything they're doing.
Exactly, and revolver and sword, and that's it. Those are your two options. No, that's excellent. And obviously, we sort of talked about your sort of key demographic. It's obviously a very varied one, but a lot of your models do call to women. So how do you find the level of sort of female support in your hobby and your career? How have you found that?
I think it's been really good. It's that like the more people you meet and then you kind of say what you're doing and then they're like, no way. And I kind of want my business, like when I set up at a show, I want it to be somewhere that if it wasn't me, I'd see it and go, oh my God, where do I begin on this? So I've, there's a lot of women in the industry and just, people that are around that have been absolutely lovely. And it's that thing of, we've all got a similar grim tales or good tales and just a bit of camaraderie sort of thing. And I think so being in the hobby for 20 years, seeing it's changed so much. And it's in a really good way. And I like to think I've been a little bit of it. So that gives me a bit of like, but I think a lot of things have happened that have just made it such a way more welcoming hobby for anyone outside. So not just women, it's like anyone outside of the standard demographic which it was before. I think it is getting more diverse and that can only be a good thing.
100%. Like for me, so I was obviously similar to your sort of early way of getting into the hobby. You're doing the tabletop side, and for me it's nice to walk into a room and not be the only woman at a competition, and that's happening like more and more now, and it's nice that women are getting the confidence to do that. And I can attest going to the Bad Squiddo stand at UK Games Expo and doing a little bit of filming for you there, just hearing other women go, so cool, I love this model, this is fantastic, and you'll stand wherever you set up, you definitely draw people in, so you don't have to worry about that. Like, as I said, my little peanut brain was blown when I saw your entire, because it's different when you look on the website and you're
Yeah,
going
yeah.
through and you're like, I like that, I like that, I like that. But when they're in front of you and the way you section everything off is so thought out, and everything tells a story, and you just want to pick everything up, and look at it and interact with it. And they're such gorgeous sculpts. I'll post a link to Annie's social media and the store in the description. And you guys can check it out. But yes.
Yeah, when I went to your Warhammer Women Day, I almost didn't go because I was kind of like, oh, everyone would be really cool, and like, I don't really do Warhammer anymore, and that's kind of scary. And I then did kind of drag a mate along. Went, you're coming with me as well, and it's that whole like. I think a lot of wargamers have been bullied at school, so it's that
Yeah.
whole thing of like, oh, even though there's people that are my people, I'll probably still be, I'll be the
Yeah.
person that they bully, and I'm like, oh, and I
Where's
got
my
there, like,
safe space?
everyone
Where's my
is
safe
so
person?
nice, yeah, like everyone was so nice. It was such a lovely day,
Thank you.
and I was really chuffed, and I was like, yeah, when I was younger, the idea of something like that. Sounds like I don't like it now, but it was just like that, my inner child thing of like, that would have been so
Yeah.
cool. But when I was a little girl, I didn't know any other girls that were in the hobby, and people
Exactly.
were really weird about it. And
Yeah.
I always remember one of my friends' mums, though she was kind of like waiting for something, and I think she was at the house or something, and I was painting some skeletons, and she was like, do you think it's because you got loads of brothers that you're basically a boy? And it was just like, it's just an odd thing to say. And like, I'm just painting some skeletons. Like, it's not a gendered task.
thing,
And
yeah.
it was just a really weird thing. So now when I see groups of women, especially when there's like girls, there's short
Little girls, yeah.
short anecdote recently. I was at Sutton Hood with some blokes doing some gaming for the public, so public could come in and play some stuff.
Jealous that you went to Sutton Hood.
Cool.
The bike
cool.
and hyperfixation in me just went insane, and I loved your content that day. Anyway, sorry, I distracted you.
So we had loads of little girls come over, and I did tear up at one point as well because I looked and there's just loads of them painting my Dagmar figure, and then I could hear them playing, and I was like, oh. At one point we had two girls playing each other, but their dad's assisting, but mostly getting ignored because they're kind of like, why shouldn't you? She's like, nope, I'm doing this. So they played a game together, which is like, that would be rare enough anyway. And then later on, I saw them on another of the boards, and they teamed up against the dads. And then later on, they all left together, and I was just like, oh, they've made friends. This is the coolest thing ever. And like, yeah, that would have been so cool. So now knowing that those sort of friendships can begin, and it's just so nice. So it's definitely going the right way. It's just, things just take time, and I've been kind of accepting of that because a lot of people are like, I'm gonna have change things tomorrow. I'm like, they are changing, but you kind of need that generational change sometimes.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we have some in Nottingham, we have like painting evenings at Warhammer World, and there's just such a mix of people.
Yeah.
And it definitely didn't feel like that back in the day. sort of thing.
Back in the day, yeah. Because I started playing when I was 13, and it was very much, I was the only girl at my games workshop. And, I remember, because I played 40k rather than fantasy, I was consistently the only woman at the tournaments that I used to go to with all of my male friends. And I was the same as you. Like, I was bullied for being a female nerd. And actually, kids and teenagers are so cruel, but actually, I'm glad now that I'm in my 30s, I've embraced myself again and gone, no, that is actually what I like, and I'm okay with finding joy in the things that others might not necessarily accept, because there are other people in my community that do accept those factors, such as yourself, and that's why I love your stuff. So yeah. What other avenues would you say has your hobby opened up? Obviously, Bad Squiddo is the first thing that jumps to mind, but is there anything else that your hobby has opened up for you?
So I've been on Woman's Hour. I was on the big radio. Yeah, it was so weird. That was pre-pandemic. I think that was 2019. Yeah, that was so weird because I was sat with people doing these mega, big political campaigns and stuff, and I was kind of there with my little box of models, and I felt like the guy in Little Shop of Horrors where he's got his little plant and he's just kind of sat there with his plant. I was going, show us your minis. I'm like, so, but people still mention it. I'm like, oh, that's so cool, because I got to just kind of tell the nation the gist of wargaming.
Yeah.
But the biggest enjoyment I get at the moment is because I've just gone full history infused. I've been making connections with a lot of different historians and authors, and that's getting me really excited, because then they're people that can help out and give pointers, and just also be like that sort of community. So talking to women who write about women from history, and they're great, and it's like, oh, we have the same, is this the same guy online that's posting in both our comments? People are like, oh well, but you don't know this book that you've written that you've obviously spent a long time. Well, I just read an article that, that sort of so again, that like camaraderie in that's been really nice. And I'm hoping that can go in a few other, hoping to spread the squid tentacles in a few different ways as well. So I love it so much, and I want to do it forever. And the more that I can sort of get in all those different places, I think will help that too. But yeah, I really love it, and doing this resistance project again has just like blown up all the little bright bits in my brain of just like, yes, this is great. And I'm planning the follow-up for the next resistance Kickstarter as well, because there's so many people to make.
But that's the beauty, and it's the fact that you are able to find people and stories, and as I said earlier on in this conversation, personify them in the beautiful way that you do. And I think that's why people love Bad Squiddo and just love you and your enthusiasm. Like, anytime I see you, anytime I speak to you, I'm just like, yes, this ray of sunshine who's just like so enthusiastic about everything, and it's great, and I love it, and I love you, and I think you're amazing. So thank you so much. You were actually, I think I told you, but you were the most requested person to come on this, which was amazing. Like, I just had like constant Annie or Bad Squiddo or Annie from Bad Squiddo or the Bad Squiddo lady. Like, I was scrolling through, and when I reached out to you, I was so happy that you said yes. I was like, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's all right. So before you go, if there is one thing that you would pass on to other women, whether that be a skill or a piece of advice, what would that be?
Probably just to do it. But also probably no, I was going to do a negative. No negatives. Just do it. Just do it. It'll be great. Nothing will go wrong. It will go horribly wrong in all of the places, but then you just keep learning from that, and then it goes right. That's Annie's advice.
Exactly. And playing as well, like the fun of it going wrong and just playing with it as well. Like that, I think that's great advice, is just do it 100%. 100%.
I think that sticking to something that you're really passionate about as well, because I think if I was the amount of trials and tribulations along the way, if I was just making minis, as in making minis that are on trend, or like, oh, these will work really well with Warhammer and I'll do that sort of thing, I think I'd have just given up by now.
Yeah.
Because it's if you're just wanting to do there's better there's better things to do. But if even if your passion, saying like, oh well, I'm historical, if your passion is goblins and you want to make goblin armies, then it's like that's the drive to keep you going. So say you do a goblin Kickstarter and it doesn't do so well, if you don't care about goblins, then you're kind of like, well, I was just doing it to be cool or whatever. But if that's your passion, you regroup, you figure something else out, you figure out the change, and you try again, and you keep. And I think you need that in these sort of smaller niche, like, it's a massive industry, but then there's niches within, so just do the thing that you really want to do, because then you'll enjoy it regardless. I think that's really important.
Exactly. No, completely concur with that. Is there anyone that you would like to shout out today at all?
Yeah. I would recommend, if you've got any slots left on your people, Becky Gallo at Rolltex.
Okay.
I've been working with her. She was next to me at Expo.
Yeah,
She's
I
a
remember
sculptor,
you.
a very, very talented sculptor, and they make these rolly things. They're texture rollers, but with a little handle. And recently, so she's been sculpting some stuff for our Scenics range, and the latest thing has been the tank track rollers, which
Yes,
I
which are
need to,
amazing.
yes,
Yes.
I need to do more playing with. I've just got some new. I just want to show all the different putties you can use them on, and have some like proof of concept. Go here, rather than just me going, they're great.
Yeah.
But she's brilliant, and the work she's done in a few different sort of creative industries as well is really interesting. I think she'd be a really interesting person to chat to. And yeah, go check out Rolltex because they're cool and nice.
Yes, for sure. And I've seen you playing with them on Instagram, and they definitely piqued my interest. So
Me making
unfortunately,
reels.
yeah.
So, ooh, reels.
Oh, the mystical world of reels. But no, thank you so much for coming on today, Annie. It's been an absolute pleasure. As I said, I'll link your socials below, so people can come and find you. But yes, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Women in Wargaming series, and thank you to all of my guests who have appeared this series. If you've enjoyed what you've watched, please consider liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel and following me on Instagram at ElderExarch.